Attention, patriots. Broadcasting from the Free Zones, Radio Free Redoubt begins in 5, 4, 3, 2...
Well, good morning and welcome to the Morning Commute with JJS and Lady Liberty. We are coming at you from Patriot-held territory. Welcome all of you on 96.5 FM and the AM dial at 630. And that's if you are in the greater Spokane, Coeur d'Alene, Kootenai County, Spokane County areas. Outside the area on the live streaming, if you're not and you didn't know about the live stream, just go to acn.cc and click on the Liberty Bell. That will take you to Liberty Broadcasting, which is where we're at right now.
That's
good
right.
morning,
yeah. So,
Lady Liberty.
Good morning to everyone out there. And, welcome to Thrashakami Thursday, of course.
Yeah, there's a lot of commie thrashing that needs to take place.
Yes, we know that you all know about a lot of these as well. And you probably wish you could thrash them a little bit too, but
you can.
You can.
In your heart.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, it's called Thrashakami is just another term for taking a stand against evil, the evil that is now descending upon this nation in just a huge way.
That's right.
And so that's what this is all about. In case you're new, you're a new listener. We've got a nationwide audience, and so we've got listeners all the way from Alaska to Florida, and so we really appreciate all of you. But if you want to leave any comments or any suggestions, you're always welcome to email us at themorningcommute 7 a.m. the number 7, that is the morning commute 7 a.m. at gmail.com, or you could reach us at John Jacob at radiofreeredoubt.com. In fact, you can reach both of us at either of those addresses. So if you care to share any comments or input, we always love reading those. So that's really cool.
There you have it. And if you are new and you're saying, who is this JJS and who is Lady Liberty? Well, I'm John Jacob Schmidt on Radio Free Redoubt, which is a podcast. Started off as a podcast 10 years ago, and then we got our own radio show with the American Christian Network. And wow, coming up on 10 years, Lady Liberty is my bride. Very heavily involved in the property rights efforts from a Christian patriot perspective. Very strong activist in that area and an advocate for property rights. And she ended up also being behind the microphone at Liberty State Radio as also the public information or public relations spokesperson. And so anyway, yeah, we joined our efforts here with the Morning Commute last year.
That's right. Yes.
And so yeah, there we are.
Yeah. So we are our point is to share the truth in the news from a biblical perspective, and also share the Word of God daily, so that we all have encouragement and hope, and have a biblical way of looking at what is happening. And with my 15 years of being heavily involved in all of this and writing a second book now, and you being heavily involved as well, we've got a pretty decent handle on the subject. So
yeah, we've been plugged in for quite a while. So
for quite a long time is right.
And we think so much alike, it just worked out. Well, it started off coming on the fourth segment of the Radio Free Redoubt Sunday Night podcast, joining me. And then we were approached by the station asking if we wanted to take the 7 a.m. slot. So we said, why? Absolutely. Why not?
You bet.
So there's our background. We'd like to kind of just reintroduce ourselves every few weeks for new listeners coming on board. And you can learn more about us at, you can go to radiofreeredoubt.com and find all the different ways you can listen, and including our archived shows, podcasts, and the Morning Commute shows going back 10 years. Unbelievable.
That's right.
At radiofreeredoubt.podbean.com. But the website there, radiofreeredoubt.com, click on Listen to RFR. That's the tab up at the top, and that'll open up a page that will show you all the different ways you can listen. Past and present shows. All right, so let's do the word of the day and get some thrashing, commie thrashing.
That's right. Well, okay, yesterday, this is a continuation of where we started with the word yesterday from Colossians chapter 3, and we were describing how Colossians, the first part of chapter 3, describes the worldly attributes that are indicators that if you're showing any of these attributes, or I don't know if that's the right word, but if you're not in the Holy Spirit, if you're walking with the world, these are the things that are going to be prevalent in your character. And they listed
traits.
Character traits, like they listed anger, wrath, malice, blasphemy, filthy language out of your mouth, and lying to each other. And so that's just kind of a in a nutshell, the first part of Colossians 3. And so for today, for Thrashakami Thursday, we're going to read Colossians 3, verses 12 through 17, which read, under the title, Character of the New Man. Therefore, as the elect of God, holy and beloved, put on tender mercies, kindness, humility, meekness, long-suffering, bearing with one another and forgiving one another if anyone has a complaint against another, even as Christ forgave you, so you also must do. But above all these things, put on love, which is the bond of perfection, and let the peace of God rule in your heart, to which also you were called in one body, and be thankful. Let the word of Christ dwell in you richly in all wisdom, teaching and admonishing one another in psalms and hymns and spiritual songs, singing with grace in your hearts to the Lord. And whatever you do, in word or deed, do all in the name of the Lord Jesus, giving thanks to God the Father through him. And so that's the flip side of being worldly. You would be able to show this would be prevalent in your character: tender mercies, kindness, humility, meekness, long-suffering, bearing with one another, forgiving one another, and obviously, like it says, love. You'll be able to treat your brother with love. And
right.
So that's we thought it was just an excellent way to have a good comparison for like a little self-check list, that if you wrote it out side by side, here's what the first part says that would indicate you're worldly, maybe a little too worldly, and the other side saying this is where you're trying to be, this is where you need to make adjustments so that you are there. So yeah. And of course, greatest of all those is love. So now you were saying that is that love is not the thing that most people have just readily available. like we have to be told, we have to be commanded to love one another.
Right.
And that that's an interesting point, because I think some people have that more naturally than others.
Yeah, that's true.
And like myself, I would just as soon not have to fight anything. I would rather not have to fight evil. I'd rather just be friendly and
right.
Enjoy people. I truly love people. And so the fact that you even have to take a stand, I would rather give somebody the pass and say, "Oh, it's all right. You're all good."
Yeah.
Come on.
He's probably just having a bad day when he took over that election through fraud and
lied
destroying
and
our
stole
country.
all
He's just having
all those people's money and
bad day. Poor guy.
And so
Probably just needs a hug.
Well, that tends to be my character, the way I would rather treat people. But if you're also called to stand in defense of your brother, sure, that also is a huge thing that is necessary. And I can't.
Well, that's another way to love your brother, is
to defend
come
them.
to his defense when he's being plundered.
Absolutely.
And
yep.
Or just mistreated, tyrannized, and
right.
Oppressed. We're supposed to liberate the oppressed,
right?
And stand up for righteousness and stand against evil, against wickedness.
Yeah.
So and sometimes I know what you're saying. I wish I had. I wish I was stronger in that area, but I have to be commanded to love people.
Well, that's okay. There's both types of people, but the whole idea of loving people isn't always just friendly, friendly, come on, let's, give me a hug,
Right.
It's not always like that. Sometimes love is admonishing somebody and not letting them continue in their sin because if you let them continue in their sin, the outcome of that is actually way worse than stopping them.
Right.
And so a lot of people don't understand that, allowing somebody to live a sinful, destructive life is not a loving thing to do to them.
That's a very unloving thing to do.
Right. And also on the other hand, on that same page is taking you have to love your brother by defending them from evil. So even if you don't necessarily want to persecute anybody, you still must defend them from evil. And if that includes persecuting somebody and prosecuting them with the law, then that's actually a loving act towards the rest of your fellow man because you're not allowing evil to be perpetrated against them.
Well, I'm a people person. And so it's easy, it's easy for me to love other people through, caring about them, serving them,
right.
Just helping them or protecting them or whatever it is. That comes fairly easy to me. Christ took it up a notch. He said, love your enemies.
That's right.
And that's where brakes come on. Whoa. Are you sure about that?
We'll see. And
of course he is sure about that, and we are too. And of course, that also doesn't mean you just go along with
an evil agenda,
with a wicked person's agenda, and just because you're supposed to it would be unloving to go up against them and challenge them. That's not being very loving. Well, that's not true. That's
it's actually admonishing them and trying to bring them in line with, pulling them away from their own evil they're trying to perpetrate. And you're doing them a service if you're able to stop them from being evil as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And well, because it's headed toward their own destruction.
Exactly.
But, oh man, we could talk about this for 2 hours. Just this is a great topic too. But, well, thank you for
you're
for
welcome.
Sharing that.
God's word's awesome.
Yep. Yep. Now, speaking of praying for people, pray for the people in South Africa right now. It is just absolutely, completely coming undone. And they're saying, please, we need prayers. Amir Sarfati had put together a prayer team asking for people all around the world that follow him. He led a major prayer session, I guess, for South Africa right now. It's burning. It's
Wow.
Absolute chaos. Talking about communism reaching its full maturity, it's at the pinnacle now. I mean, it can still get much worse, but now they're saying what's interesting is some of these news outlets are saying fears of food and fuel shortages. There's no fear of it. It's there.
Right.
It's not like, we're just really concerned about the potential food and fuel shortages. They are plundered. Thousands and thousands of rioters and looters have descended on all of any type of commercial outlets. The food is wiped out. There's tons of video.
Well, and so they're a few steps ahead of us right now. I mean, but that's exactly where we're headed. And that whole problem that they're having was based on the divisiveness between black people and white people that was really, really pushed hard. And this is the result of that. And now they're in, they're just in almost utter civil war. And it's only now, you can't call a war unless it's two-sided, right? The communists are just disgusted by the fact that somebody wants to fight back. Right.
Well, that's what they're doing. Yeah.
Well, and so, like here we have the Cubans that are now fighting back saying, we want freedom. We don't want communism.
That's right.
And they're wanting to come to America. Well, this article.
And the Cuban government is cracking down on them now.
Yes,
they're
arresting
them.
Yeah.
They're. It's on. So.
And so this article that I have, it's titled "The Biden Administration Warns Cubans and Haitians Against Sailing to the United States. Do not risk your life." And it says, the whole statement let me just read this. It says,
Wow.
"The time is never right to attempt migration by sea. To those who risk their lives doing so, this risk is not worth taking. Allow me to be clear. If you take to the sea, you will not come to the United States," Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas, a Cuban native, told a press conference in Washington. Again, I repeat, do not risk your life attempting to enter the United States illegally. You will not come to the United States, he added. And I just went, are you kidding me?
That's a Biden appointee.
That is the Biden administration saying, you guys are illegal. You can't cross the border. Screech.
Absolutely doing nothing about our southern border as people are coming across, talking about dangerous. Oh, don't come because we care so much about you. It's just too dangerous.
And so you illegal people over here on the Mexican, Texan, Arizona borders, go right ahead. We are welcome with open arms because you're what? Pro-communists, right?
Right.
Because here you've got the Cubans over here that are saying, down with communism, we want freedom. And so those people aren't allowed in. Are you kidding?
That's right, because you know why? They'll be bringing their testimony with them about how communism doesn't work.
And so here's this is crazy. When I read that, I went, wow, they just gave away their hand. They just revealed all their cards. Because if you're going to say this group of illegals is allowed, but this group of illegals is not,
right? That's
exactly the same exact thing that the previous president, who will not be named, did with the Christians and the Muslims.
Exactly.
Remember the refugees, quote unquote refugees,
bringing them in by the tens of thousands
that were Muslims. They couldn't get enough of them, and then the same people from those same nations that were trying to get over here that were Christians were blocked.
Yeah, they blocked, and the only country, the country that was taking in more Christian refugees who were being targeted because of their faith in the Middle East was France. France was actually shipping Christians from those areas, Syrians and so on, into France. The United States, don't want them.
Refuse to take them. Yep, that's right.
You can count the number of Christians that slipped through the cracks and made it to America probably on two hands.
Yeah.
Where they brought in Muslims by the tens of thousands, saying, "Well, we're doing it because of we care about people."
Right. So take note here, people, that this border crisis is planned, it's contrived, and there's certain ones allowed in, and we're up to probably 1 million of them by now, and those are the ones that they want to be here.
Right. Not to mention all of the children and the women that are sexually assaulted. That over 400 bodies now have been recovered from the desert because they died trying to sneak in. From just the elements and dehydration. It's just, and the same individual who's responsible for protecting our borders, and I would say he's responsible for those deaths too.
Yep.
And every sexual assault that's taking place, he's responsible for it. Kamala's responsible for it. And Biden's responsible for it. All of these people who have tied the hands of those that are trying to protect and defend our borders, which would result in saved lives and upholding the law, now we're going to tell Cubans fleeing communism, don't come here.
You are not allowed to come here, they said.
Wow. There's some commies that need to be thrashed.
That exactly. That's the whole... It's not a Biden administration. It's a communist. It's a communist coup puppet that is in charge, and that we're allowing him to sit in a seat that he is illegally occupying and needs to be ousted. Yeah. And so, and this just gives their hand away. They're basically allowing people to come in as armies, more or less, that will support their communist takeover. And so that, I'm sorry, you guys, you gave it away. That was not very sharp.
Wow. Unbelievable. Well, I'll tell you what, let's take a break. Run a little bit long here on segment 1, which is fine. This is stuff that we need to be discussing.
That's right. Absolutely.
Talking about. So, all right. Well, segment 1 is brought to you by Cati Armor. That's CATI, as in come and take it. CatiArmor.com is the website for serious body armor for serious times. And folks, looking at the headlines, these are serious times. All right, we'll be back with segment 2 right after this.
My grandmother used to say, what you don't know won't hurt you. But today, what you don't know can kill you, and I mean that literally. The communists are murderers. Of course, they don't call it that. Whether they're casually shooting individuals who get in their way, or as in the Katyn Forest Massacre in 1940, maliciously executing 15,000 Polish officers and intellectuals.
How do communists gain control of non-communist governments? Let's take a look. By military occupation, by expelling non-communist officials, by the army appointing puppet officials, by obtaining military and police powers, controlling the legislative procedures, by propaganda creating political and economic unrest, controlling the courts, terrorizing political and economic opponents, by obtaining government positions and secrets.
All right, welcome back to segment two. Segment two brought to you by Minutemen Coffee. Minutemen Coffee is going to have their new trailer there at the event on the 24th, Saturday, July 24th, for the Red Pill Festival. We're looking forward to that. And if you guys, or when you guys place your orders there with Minutemen Coffee, awesome coffee. We truly do love this coffee. It's fresh roasted. We grind our own, so we get the beans from them. And love it. But don't forget to add the coupon code RFR when you place your order and save 15%. Patriot-owned business, roasted right here and packaged and shipped right here from the American Redoubt. All right, now segment two with Lady Liberty here.
Yes, everyone, welcome back to Thrashicami Thursday.
Yep, we've got some candidates. One, this doctor that they use on CNN as a subject matter expert says it needs to be hard for people to remain unvaccinated. This was on the Communist News Network. Dr. Leana Wen, who formerly headed Planned Parenthood, suggested Americans should be banned from engaging in social events and forced to undergo PCR tests twice a week if they want to stay unvaccinated. Quote, it needs to be hard for these people to remain unvaccinated, when stated, lamenting, right now, it's kind of the opposite. Yeah, not kind of. We don't want it. Get a clue.
Exactly. Gosh, she needs to be sent back to China.
And so here's a person who makes a living off of the murders of babies.
Yeah.
And now she's telling us we need to take this experimental freak medicine shots.
Wow.
I don't think so. She's in the business of killing people.
Right.
So, yeah, she needs to be. Well, she needs to be just locked up,
or
along with the rest of the
deported back to where she came from.
Yeah, Dr. Leana Wen. What? She probably Chinese.
I'm guessing she's behaving like one.
Well, she looks like one, and she's talking and acting like one. So
yes, and so how do you know if it's a communist? Do they behave like one? Yes. Well,
right.
They must be a communist.
Yeah. Well, exactly. How do you spot a communist? Well,
right.
We cover that. We've public
Christians
service announcement.
don't behave like communists ever.
They better not.
Yeah, exactly.
They're going to get wiffle batted.
You can't. That would be like being schizophrenic. They're God haters and Christians are God lovers. So if you're a Christian communist, you're all messed up. Yeah,
we're saying if you're a Christian, not just if you call yourself a Christian. You just
right.
Slap that label on yourself.
Right.
Yeah, we're talking about people that are actually
for real
Christians. Right. So what do you got?
Well, so this is extremely maddening. I've got this article here that says over 5,000 sign a pledge to continue teaching critical race theory even if it's outlawed. So this
defiance.
It's their own agenda now. It's their own personal agenda to teach critical race theory, whether it's legal or not. Really?
Wow.
And so they are on their own, and they're like, subcontractors doing their own thing for.
Well, the NEA needs to be completely abolished, wiped out. All the top people in the NEA need to be arrested.
Absolutely. They've been pushing Common Core.
For un-American activities.
That's right.
How's that? And then the entire industry, education industry, needs to be just purged.
Absolutely.
Completely. I mean, they are through and through communists.
Yep.
Almost all of them.
Right.
And somebody out there, my sister-in-law is a teacher and she's a Christian and she tries to do her best in there. And it's okay, well, fine. I've talked to several people that are in the education world industry, and they're the Christian and they're the only one.
Right.
And they'll tell you, I can't even say peep about, if I even say Trump, I get pounced on.
Right.
I mean, they are so heavily controlled, oppressed, really. If you're a Christian, if you're a patriot, and you're an educator or just work in the school systems at all, they're getting aggressive, they're getting bold, and much more militant, really, about pushing sexual deviancy on our children. They're claiming now they're going to defy laws preventing them from sexualizing young children.
Well, and see, that is so characteristic of them too, because they don't feel that our laws apply to them. Any communist takeover ignores the country's laws that they're invading. They have no loyalty to that nation. They have no loyalty to that nation's laws or their traditional values. That's why they go in and remove all the historical statues of history's heroes for that nation. They don't want them there. They're there to take over and to wipe out everything so that it looks more friendly to them. And that includes our laws. So why would these teachers respect any laws if they're communists? Right. They wouldn't.
Exactly. And so, well, geez, just in the last minute, let's just pull this up also from InfoWars, this report, multi-year plot to embed CCP, that's Communist Chinese Party, linked Democrats into Republican positions in Georgia was revealed in this report. Tom Wood of CD Media joined former White House strategist Steve Bannon's War Room on Tuesday to break down a shocking story he's about to break in days related to fraud in the 2020 election in Georgia. And in Arizona, they said there were irregularities. The numbers don't match from their audit. And they said they're going to have more breaking news and more information on that in the next, say, 24 to 48 hours.
That's right. And the Democrat Senate is freaking out.
Yes, they are. The Democrats are scared all over, and they should be.
Yep.
They're not Democrats, they're communists.
That's right.
All right, guys, you have a blessed, safe day. Join us tomorrow morning right here, 7 a.m. for the Morning Commute.
Have a thankful Thrashakami Thursday, and blessings to all of you Christian patriots out there.